The world has changed. People are fearful. Our government is not for the people. But still, it's never been easier to connect and bring people together. We are bringing about the best in ourselves. We are learning from others. We are challenging our beliefs and overcoming our fears. We are transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go? It's up to us. This is the Think Tank. I am Martin Spencer, and my guest today is Dr. Hollis. Welcome to the Think Tank. It's
Good
so
morning.
nice to have you.
Good morning. How are you?
I am wonderful. I have seen you've done great things over the years. We met about 5 years ago when I first joined Toastmasters, and you have been an inspiration to me because you're a high achiever just like myself.
Yes, thank you so much. I remember that. I remember Toastmasters. Toastmasters, for the most part, I was always a military instructor, but Toastmasters allowed me to step it up a level, speaking more in public, speaking to diverse audiences. So I really appreciate the opportunity Toastmasters gave me, and I see that you've been doing well for yourself also.
Well, like I said, it's all about excellence. It's all about excellence. You spent, how many years did you spend in the armed forces?
I did 30 years in the Navy.
30 years in the Navy. Wow. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And then, but you kept your education going.
Yes, I did. My time in the military, and I was in the Navy. I did 30 years in the Navy. Originally, I'm from a small town in Texas. So I joined the Navy to see the world. My anticipation was to do only 4 years. However, that became 8 years, and I decided, to make it a career. Now, with that said, along with that, in the military, you have both enlisted and officer ranks. So I was one of the senior enlisted. I was a Navy chief. Then I got selected to become an officer, what they call a limited duty officer, which means a person that was prior enlisted. It went from enlisted to officer, which brought a plethora of leadership styles to the wardroom. So that was instrumental. And I remember through my education, when I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, I decided to take my first college class. And ever since then, back in 1993, I've had an insatiable appetite for knowledge. I have my associate's degree. I have a bachelor's in criminology. I have an MBA, and I have a PhD in organization and management, specialization in information technology management. Now, I said that to say this. You talked about excellence, and talk about being a high achiever. Well, for me, because I was going to school and I was still serving my country, I could not continue to go to school while I was stationed in Bahrain and other places. However, on an aircraft carrier, I was able to, a lot of times in the military, they will secure communication so you cannot send email out. But I was able to talk to the commanding officer that would allow me about 5 or 10 minutes to upload my assignments to my school. So again, if there's a will, there's a way to achieve your goal.
That's it. You are so right. You are so right. And then you further on went on and to complete your PhD. I remember when you were working at it, when we started Toastmasters, you were still working at it, and you finally achieved it.
Yes, I decided to get my PhD through the University of Capella University. So my PhD, having a PhD in, what I tell people is, a PhD doesn't mean you're the smartest person in the world. What it means is you decided to go that extra level of achievement. Now, along with that, there comes a responsibility, because with a PhD, you're only doing 1 or 2 things with your PhD, with your dissertation. Either you're adding to the body of knowledge, or you creating new knowledge.
Right.
That's the only 2 things you do when you're defending your dissertation. But along with that, it allowed me to be able to expand my worth in the academia. Because currently I teach at 3 different universities. I teach cybersecurity, risk management at the University of Maryland Global Campus, University of Cumberland, which is out of Kentucky, and CSU Global. Along with that, I was able to get a few certifications. One being, I have a certification in cybersecurity and risk management from Harvard University.
Wow.
Yes, I have that. I have a certification from a lot of the ASACA certification in data privacy.
Hmm.
ASACA is one of the premier certification industry organizations that people in cybersecurity are aware of.
Right.
And
Okay.
along with that, I have a couple of blockchain certifications.
Wow, man, you are in that space. You are what you call in the space.
I'm in the space, yeah. Cyber, in today's world, everyone's talking about cybersecurity. Everyone's talking about the IoT, the Internet of Things.
Right.
2020, there are 50 billion with the B devices connected to the internet.
Wow.
Everything from your cell phone, your video doorbell, to what we're talking on now. Everything is connected. Now, along with that, because everything is connected, you have Alexas, you have Siri. Everything is connected to the internet, the IoT. Now, what I tell people is, why is that important? Because currently we're on 4G. Now,
Hmm.
when we move to 5G, this is how I equate 5G to people. Being on 5G is like moving from a Pinto to a Porsche as far as technology, because now when 5G comes out, you're going to be able to do things almost instantaneously, as far as, for instance, doctors doing surgeries with 5G.
Right.
So 5G is going to revolutionize the internet.
Right.
Now, with that said, along with that, then one of the main problems from the cybersecurity perspective when it comes to the internet is, or your connected items, a lot of people do not change their default passwords.
Uh,
People will buy whether it's a router or whether it's a video doorbell or
mhm.
whatever it may be, and the log on is admin and the password is
Yes,
admin. That's the problem. And hackers are looking at that. So the first thing I would tell people, when you have a device, make sure you change the default password.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
make sure it is a password that has at least 12 to 15 numbers, special characters, to protect you. And another thing I tell people is, when you at a coffee shop, anywhere other than your home, make sure you have a VPN, which is a virtual private network. Which
Okay,
means,
expand on that a little. Expand on the VPN a little bit more, because
okay,
that's
VPN, the
good.
VPN, what it does, it will mask your particular IP. Like if you are sitting at a coffee shop, a
Mhm.
Starbucks,
Right.
and you decide to make a credit card purchase,
Mm-hmm.
if you do that without a VPN, that bad person, that bad lady
Mm-hmm.
or gentleman could be sitting in a corner, can see your IP, your transaction, and actually capture that.
Wow.
Without a VPN, with a virtual private network, what it does for you, it takes your information and it encrypts it during transmission.
Wow.
So, and also it will hide your location. For instance, when I'm using my VPN at Starbucks or any coffee shop, I
Mm-hmm.
could be here in Tampa, but people will look at it and they'll think I'm in California.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
my, and it protects you and your information. A
Right.
lot of times, studies have been done where people sit at coffee shops and they feel all relaxed and they're actually doing work and their information is not protected. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a VPN is very cheap, a few dollars a month, but it will protect you when you travel. So it's very important to have that when you're out and about.
Wow.
And most people don't know about that. But cybersecurity and information technology is important in today's society, because now with COVID-19, everyone's online.
Right.
Everyone's working remotely from home, and the bad guy, they're working remotely too. So,
They
so
both.
they're looking at you. Wow, this person's, whether you're using an encryption called WPA2, which is Wi-Fi protected access, allows you to encrypt your stuff from your router. You have to make sure you have the right tools, because if you don't, the bad guy's always looking. And encryption is what they use to do that. Now, what I would tell you also is having that cybersecurity awareness in organizations. In any organization, the most important thing is to make sure, from the cybersecurity perspective, is
Mm-hmm.
it is being led from top down, from the senior executives telling, I want everyone to ensure, if they're going to work from home on their particular computers, they have software loaded to protect their data. Because if you're going to log in from home to your office,
The office, right?
yeah. If you're going to do that, you have to log in with the VPN. and have to use what they call two-factor or multi-factor authentication.
Authentication, right?
For instance, you've probably heard of people all the time on Facebook or Messenger, oh, my account's been hacked.
Right, right.
Well, what happens is a lot of times Facebook and LinkedIn both have security settings where you can say, if anyone tries to change my password, you have my cell phone number. You must text me to send me a code.
Right.
A lot of people are just using their face as an ID. So someone cut and paste your face.
What? Are you kidding?
They can do that. That's how a lot of people get. Yeah, it used to be if you don't have two-factor, which means two identification, your password and a phone number. That's two-factor authentication.
Okay.
Multi-factor authentication could be three factors. Could be your cell phone, your number, and a particular code. What is your mother's maiden name? You have to get all three of those correct to validate who you are.
Wow.
A lot of people don't do that, so they get breached all the time, especially on instant message. A lot of people are getting breached. So you have to make sure you are responsible for your data. So I would tell people is to make sure Facebook, LinkedIn, any platform, you have either multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication, because if you want to change your password, they will text you a code to your phone and say, hey, do you want to change your password? And once you do that, that's okay. It's multi-factor. What is your mother's maiden name? What is your place of birth? What is your favorite football team?
You're so right, because I bought a new phone a few months ago, and I tried to access my bank account, right? And it said to me, I said, but hey, I'm always on my account. Why do I need to authenticate who I am?
Yes.
Actually, from my dad's, because when I started my account years ago, I put in my questions. And the first question, what's your dad's first name? What's your paternal grandmother's last name? Whatever. So I had to remember quickly, what was this? So I put it in, and then it got me in, So that's the authentication.
That's what I'm talking about. You have to have that, so because you don't want someone else to say, well, everyone knows your last name, but they don't know your mom's first name or your mom's birthday or whatever the case may be, because those questions, you have a list of questions you can actually choose from.
Right.
And you have to be mindful of that. And also you have to be mindful when you log it into, a lot of times these networks at Starbucks or any free, they're not secure.
Whoa.
They're not secure at all. They're just there. That's why anyone can log in. That's why it's important to go back to that VPN. That VPN takes that non-secure and makes it secure.
Right.
That's why you do that, so you are protected. Even at airports, wherever you go, I have a VPN on my phone, and the VPN normally it allows you to have up to 5 devices connected. Well, your cell phone, your laptop, for a small fee. And also, you must make sure that you do on your phone or your laptop or your desktop antivirus updates, and you should set it for automatic, so they do it at night, 2 or 3 in the morning, whatever it is, to make sure you have the latest and greatest.
I have one of those, yes, and it updates automatically.
Automatic, and you make sure that you do that. And you constantly got to be looking at, a lot of times Microsoft will come out and say, hey, this is the latest, a hot patch. A hot patch is a quick patch to fix what the problem is.
What's it called again, sir?
It's called a hot patch.
Hot patch, okay.
A hot patch that Microsoft has, they'll come out and say, hey, it's a hot patch or hot fix to fix an item.
Right.
A lot of times on your cell phone, you get a message, the latest upgrade, right? Especially your iPhone. You do say, this is the latest upgrade for software update for your phone to fix particular holes or whatever it may be. A lot of times, remember, these particular organizations, Microsoft, Apple, they always have people out there seeing how they can breach the network.
Right.
A lot of times, these hackers, even the government will hire these hackers. If you're a really good hacker,
right, I saw that.
Yeah, that's doing bad things. The government say, hey, I'll tell you what. Instead of you going to jail, come work for us.
Right.
That's what happens, because you have to remember, in 2024, instead of 50 billion, there's going to be 75 billion devices connected to that. And then you throw in blockchain. What blockchain is...
Tell us about blockchain, yes.
Yeah, blockchain is a new database that everyone's going to. What blockchain is, it is a database that allows you to do transactions. A lot of people have heard of Bitcoin.
Right.
They've heard of Litecoin. They heard of Ethereum. The way I equate blockchain is this. Consider blockchain as a train engine, and Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum are only cars on that train.
Right.
Blockchain is the underlying software. Everything else rides on that. Okay. Now, what blockchain is going to do for people, it does what you call a immutable database. When you make a block, each block is encrypted.
Right.
So when you make a say you buy a Bitcoin, you're not actually buying a Bitcoin. You buying the rights to that software for that Bitcoin.
Okay.
That's what you're buying. So you're buying it. But what happens, in order to validate that from the blockchain, you can always add to the blockchain. So let's say Martin makes a purchase on blockchain. You bought 1 Bitcoin. When you make that purchase, in order to validate that Bitcoin, it does what you call a consensus, which means it has to go to other supercomputers that's located throughout the world to ask all these computers, they call it miners, all these computers, hey, Martin just bought this, he bought 1 Bitcoin.
Right.
So it takes a consensus of all the computers, and so many consensus, 51% of the consensus say that it was correct, he bought this Bitcoin. Now, what that means, you can add to the chain, you cannot subtract from the chain. So at any time you buy a Bitcoin, anyone in the world with the computer that's connected to a blockchain can see, yes, Martin bought this. Now, because of, I mentioned 5G earlier, because of 4G, we're on 4G now worldwide, it takes about 20 minutes to replicate your purchase all over the world.
Okay.
Because we're on 4G. With 5G, when 5G comes along, that's going to be almost 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh, man.
That's what I'm telling you about when 5G comes out. And blockchain allows you to, for instance, in today's world, there are 2 people, or 1 country and 1 company that's really utilizing blockchain. The first one is the country of Dubai. Okay. Dubai is really heavy. They call it a smart city. A smart city means they're using a lot of real-time data, real-time analysis, for everything from parking to cameras to validate data. They're really, really one of the first countries to really embrace blockchain or a smart city. The other company that's doing blockchain, you won't believe this, but it's Walmart.
Oh, wow, Walmart.
Walmart is really heavy into using blockchain. What blockchain would do, let's say, for instance, someone catches salmon in Alaska.
Right.
Walmart can track from the time that salmon is caught in Alaska to the time someone buys it on the shelf.
Wow.
All that, everything is done digital now. And with the onset of digital communications and 5G, everything is going to be done exponentially and very quick. But 5G is not just having a 5G phone. It's going to require more infrastructure. They're going to have to change some of the towers to support that data increase. But from cybersecurity perspective, the world is remember the times when you came out, when you had the flip phone a few years ago?
Yeah.
2G and 3G, 4G. I mean, if you don't have a smartphone now, or email address, or some type of connected device, where are you living, in a cave somewhere? Right. Everything's connected now. And I would tell you, in today's world, understanding the importance of not just cybersecurity, but to protect your data.
Right. Data is everything. Data is everything.
That's why if you or your wife are on Amazon today, looking at something to buy, but you decide you're going to wait, but you go to bed and you get on Facebook, whatever you were looking for on Amazon pops up on Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because Facebook has about over 2 billion users. So Facebook talked to Amazon and say, hey, Amazon, I have 2 billion users. Remember we talked about clicks sharing data? So what happens, Facebook talked with Amazon, hey, I tell you what, you can see my users for a fee. So when you're on Facebook all day, and you say, I'm not going to buy this on Amazon, but you get on Facebook, okay, I hear this again, boom. That's what they call data analytics. and data mining.
Wow, data mining. I've heard
Data
data mining. Yes.
what they're looking at is, okay, they're not looking at what you purchased. If you bought a red shirt, they can do data analytics. You know what? Now he's going to buy a blue shirt.
Wow. Wow.
That's what happens. And so with that said, that's why I was talking about they do data warehousing.
Mm-hmm.
Data warehousing is where they collect your data and they warehouse it. When
Right.
they warehouse that data, they need to have someone who's going to mine that data. That's why you hear about people majoring in big data, data
Right.
analytics.
Right.
What they're doing is they're trying to find Martin's needle in a haystack.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
They
Wow.
call it predictive analytics. They're going to predict on what you're going to purchase next based on your last purchase.
Wow. And they can influence you, right? Because
Yeah.
if you buy a red shirt, then he might like the blue shirt.
Yep.
So they'll send you the information or the ads, and you see them, and then you go buy them.
Yep,
Predictive
exactly.
analytics.
And also, you know how if you're on Google and you type half of the word and it pops up,
Right.
same thing. It's the same thing. That's predictive analytics. And now you have Siri, you have Alexa. A lot of, from a security perspective, I tell people it's okay to have those at home, but remember, if you haven't turned on, they are listening to every word you say.
You are so right. You know, I was having a conversation with my wife one day, and all of a sudden, Siri says, they answered it. I was talking to her, and Siri answered me. It's like they're almost eavesdropping, you know. So did they collect that data also?
Everything that you do that's connected, it's being collected. That's why when you got to get permission when you have Siri or Alexa, it's being warehoused. Wow. Actually, there was a case where the police could actually you use Siri for a crime that was committed.
Wow, wow.
I don't have mine turned on from a security perspective at home, but a lot of people do. I'm not saying don't utilize it, but be mindful.
Right.
If you use it for anything, you know, just make sure you assume when you have your phone or when you're out in public, you're being recorded. Just assume that.
Yeah, because I was talking to on Zoom. There was a gentleman in Toastmasters, and we had a conversation about paying his dues. Mm-hmm. So I said to him, you know, it's like me and you. I know you. You know me. If you give me your credit card number to pay something, then you know you trust me to a certain degree. But he said to me, Martin, I trust you, bro. But you know, I run security for IBM. That's my job. I can't give you my credit card number. He was so particular, and it wasn't a trust issue because of putting it out in the space. He didn't, you know, I have to protect you have to pay. And he said, you have to protect your data at all costs. Don't take a chance and put it out there. He said, I'll send you a check. I don't have a problem, but I'm not going to give you the number, even on the phone. He said, he wouldn't do it.
A lot of times people will do passwords for organization. They call this an out of channel. Like for instance, you know, when you get on the site and it says you must change your password immediately, right? A lot of times what normally happens in organizations, the IT people will say, okay, call you on the phone and say, hey, this is your password over the phone. But once you log on, you got to change your password.
Right.
And they have a setting, have software. If your password is not so many characters, special characters, it won't accept them. And you've probably seen it on some of your sites. Has to be so many characters, special characters. Have that set so that it will ensure that you have that password, a strong password. Now, with that said, they have software programs, brute force, and other stuff that can crack passwords. Yeah. But if you have a password that's between 12 and 16 characters, special characters, it may take years to crack. But if you have your wife's birthday or your cat's name or something like that, it can take a few seconds. So you need to be careful when you select your passwords.
Right. So you just used the word brute force. Tell me what brute force is. What brute force?
Brute force is what they call a dictionary attack on a password. It utilizes every particular symbol in the dictionary.
Wow.
Like different words. Like that's why if you have, like, say your wife is Mary.
Right.
Mary, and you use 2 Y's. It doesn't matter because these brute force algorithms will go in and say, okay, this password is, let's say Mary 2021. It could be a birthday, could be a year, because you don't have special characters. Special characters are not in the dictionary, right?
Wow. Yeah.
You don't have the @ or the
$sign.
$ in the dictionary. That's why they tell you to have special characters so that if someone's trying to do a brute force attack, it will take them longer. Now, theoretically, those brute force attack, if they keep going long enough, they can break in. The key is you hope that your intrusion detection or the intrusion protection will see that, but if it's not a strong password, it can be done in seconds. That's why they tell you all the time to make sure you have a strong password.
Mm-hmm.
And also when you have that, when they say special characters, not just letters.
Mm-hmm.
If you have, let me see, well, you might have, let's say you got Martin and you have they ask you, how old are you, Martin? Well, I'm so-and-so, so-and-so. That means he has to be born in this year.
Mm-hmm.
Someone type in Martin, blah, blah, boom, that's your password. But if you have Martin, special characters, exclamation point, @, hashtag, it's harder to break in. Why? Because it's not in the dictionary. That's what a brute force.
Wow, oh man, that is big.
So anyone telling and something else you should start doing when you're out and about, if you're at a coffee shop or wherever you are, you should always get in the habit of locking your computer or your phone. Don't just let it sit there on the counter. You go to the bathroom and get coffee. Anyone can see that. So my phone, my wife's phone, they lock automatically after so many seconds. You got to enter the password because you never know. Don't assume that person sitting next to you is a nice person. Just don't. Yeah.
That is so true. That is so true. So tell me a little bit about Bitcoin. You also involved in Bitcoin certification or what?
Yeah, I have a blockchain certification, but everyone's talking about, Bitcoin is just digital currency.
Right.
And everyone with the credit card, with the chip in your credit card today,
right,
that's digital currency.
Mm-hmm.
Now about the Bitcoin is a currency that's being accepted worldwide. There is fluctuations in the way that Bitcoin is being mined or the value of it now. Mm-hmm. But the thing about Bitcoin, that's why you notice when these big corporations, when they're hacked, mm-hmm. they tell you, I want you to pay in Bitcoin. Because it's digital currency, they can't really be traced. That's why they do that. That's why they tell you to pay in Bitcoin, because it's digital currency, and a lot of times it can't be traced. I want you to pay in this amount of Bitcoin to this site. Now, Bitcoin itself is a currency that now some of the banks are recognizing as.
I see that.
Yeah, it's okay. Now we're going to get into Bitcoin. Why? Because especially today in today's society, everyone's doing everything digital. Okay, this is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin just went as high, 5,000 to 10,000, but it fluctuates a lot.
Right, it does. Yes.
Yeah, and it depends on, and you have to be, if you're going to participate in Bitcoin, you have to be willing to gamble.
To go for that ride, right?
Yeah, you go for that ride. You can make some money or you can lose some money. But a lot of these influential people are purchasing Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And it's an accepted currency worldwide.
Worldwide now, yes.
Yeah, worldwide. And the problem is, Bitcoin, actually blockchain has never been breached, but Bitcoin, the actual exchange, has been hacked a few times in China and Japan, where they actually store the data, not the blockchain, but the Bitcoin exchanges where they exchange it has been breached. But for the most part, the blockchain itself has been secure. But this is the challenge with, I will tell you, this is the challenge with blockchain. Blockchain uses encryption now, right?
Right.
256 encryption. But what's going to happen now, because they have quantum computing coming out, that can crack that encryption. So now they're looking at having quantum computing for blockchain. Man. So it can't be breached. I mean, it's out there, but anything can be, any password, any system long enough can be breached.
Wow.
It's a matter of having the right tools and the time. The key to it from the cybersecurity perspective, even from your computer, when you have any type antivirus, it'll tell you when a file's been quarantined, right?
Yes, right.
Exactly. So it's telling you, hey, it looks suspicious. We're going to quarantine it. You can look at it later, or it can tell you it's a virus. We quarantined and removed it.
Yeah. Do you trust it? Sometimes I get that on my site.
Yeah, exactly. You trust this file.
You trust this site.
Yeah, a lot of times if people try to send you a JPEG or a certain type of photos and stuff, it will quarantine them to see. And most of the time, from the cybersecurity perspective, the majority of people, they are breached because of what they call phishing attempts. someone to call you and say, hey, Martin, this is your bank, I need your password. Or you get emails all the time from Apple or Microsoft.
Yeah.
First thing you want to do is click on the email address. If it says something like Microsoft ABCDEFG,
right,
not valid.
It's not valid, yeah.
Or the IRS will not call you on the phone.
No, it's exactly.
They would not call you and tell you, hey,
right.
so and so, so and so. Or a lot of times, people are getting hacked or phished from these third world countries about, hey, I have $1 trillion in the bank. All you got to do is give me your account number. So you have to be mindful of who you're talking to at all times. Or you can say, I tell you what, give me your number and I will call you back.
Right.
So just be mindful of that.
Yeah. Now, something that intrigued me some time ago, how people go to gas stations and they put a device that mimics the device they have there and they capture all these credit cards. How the heck they do that?
But as a matter of fact, today in Pasco County, you look at it, they just found 25 devices.
Wow.
In Pasco, they call them skimming devices.
Skimming, right.
Yeah, what happens is a lot of times, and those work via Bluetooth. What normally happens is when you get ready to pay with your credit card, the first thing you should do is on the device itself, take 2 hands and make sure it's not flimsy.
Okay, good.
Because make sure it's not flimsy. And a lot of times, I said they work via Bluetooth. If you have the way to do that is a lot of people say pay cash, but if you don't pay cash, you pay with credit card and stuff. It's best to pay with your credit card and not your PIN number.
Ah, okay.
Because you pay with your PIN number, they have your PIN number, they're good, but your credit card number, you have to enter your zip code.
Right, exactly.
So
right.
I always tell you when you pay, and if you got to use a credit card, always pay with the zip code.
Zip code, okay.
And not the PIN number, because the PIN number is only normally a 4-digit number.
Right. So
if it's being skimmed, if it's being skimmed, remember the skimming device is in here. It's always the person who's skimming you, they're within less than a mile from there.
Okay.
They have to be in close proximity to get that. Normally from a few feet to 500 yards. If you see, and the way to find out, the way to validate, you have your cell phone. If you're looking at a Wi-Fi, your cell phone will pick up Wi-Fi.
Right.
If you see an address, a Wi-Fi connection that's like strange, that's normally a skimmer.
A skimmer. Wow.
So remember, when you put your device in, before you put your credit card in, make sure you take a device, make sure it's not loose. Because those skimming devices look just like the credit card readers, and all they do, the guys will put them in. Meanwhile, they get your data, especially if you use a PIN code. Before you get home, your account is drained.
Wow.
So anytime you or your wife, anyone get gas, make sure they look at that. Make sure it's not flimsy.
Right.
Make sure it's from a reputable place. Don't get it from a place that's all run down, because a lot of times, if you have a gas station that people are not proactive, the workers walking out there looking at stuff, you're asking for it. So that's what happened with skimmers.
Wow, interesting. One in China is going to be AI compliant by the end of this year. China is so good at AI, you don't even need a car in China anymore. I was doing some research on one of the topics that I have. And in China, if you wanted to go to the supermarket, you just call a Uber type car. You go to the supermarket. You go to the supermarket. You buy everything with your cell phone. You don't have to swipe it. You just touch it. Just like a touch technology now. You call the car back. It takes you home. You want to go to the movies. You call. Everything in China is AI, because they have so many I think they have 2 cameras for every person in China. And like you said, they digitally map you.
Yeah.
I mean, the technology over there is crazy, and that's what's coming. And now guess who's building it? IBM, Microsoft for them. So that's coming here too, right? The year 2023, I think, or something. It's crazy.
Exactly. During my military days, I was stationed in Japan.
Right.
Now, this was back in from 2002 to 2003. This was before the United States had the camera phone. Well, in Japan, they had camera phones before we did. And actually, to pay your cell phone bill or your water bill or your electric bill, this was 2003. You would just go to 7-Eleven.
Yep.
And they would scan it in for you. So I said that to say this, to see how technology has evolved in the last 10 to 15 years. And with AI, you know, like, for instance, Siri and Alexa, they're AI, artificial intelligence. Everyone's into that because it's going to make things easier, yet it's also going to take out the human factor. And then think like these cars, autonomous driving vehicles, they're great until there's an issue. So AI is still in its infancy stages until it's perfected. I mean, it can be utilized as a great tool for I would say for the medical field, from driving and stuff, but it's also, there are still glitches in it because AI is only as good as how it was programmed.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, you're right. You know, China, Google, all these guys are getting into AI. Why? Because AI, I go back to AI would be able to do that data mining faster than the human mind. So AI, you got the 5G coming out. You can do data mining, data warehousing, because again, AI, everything's all about data, and data means money.
Data means
what it means.
Wow, man. Wow. That is amazing. You've given us a mouthful, man. This is like a lecture. It's like the professor giving us a lecture here. This is like you teach at 3 universities. I mean, and your knowledge, I mean, I know this is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, the depth of your knowledge is so vast. I really appreciate it.
No, I just try to, and the thing about it, I would tell you this, one of my universities, speaking of data, one of my universities, my average age of my student is 26 years old getting a PhD.
Wow.
And most of them are getting a PhD in big data analytics.
Right.
Because all these big companies that you're looking at, the way they get you to buy something, either with Amazon, LinkedIn, Facebook, is by looking at data.
Right.
And you got to have someone who understands how to find that needle in the warehouse, how to do that data mining, how to do that data analytics. Everything is based on that. I mean, now, like I said earlier, with Zoom and all these videos out, from a privacy perspective and the fact that we're working from home, data is king.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I interviewed a young man, a friend of mine, who goes to Harvard University right now, working on his MBA in finance, Christian Williams. And he was telling me predictable, like you said, predictable analytics.
Yes.
If I wanted to spend, let's say, $500 on Facebook ads, he can predict, he can market it and target market for me, and give me a 2-to-1 return minimum on my investment.
Yes.
Based on the target analytics. He said, if you target these people and you spend $500, I can almost guarantee you your return would be $1,000.
Yep.
I mean, it's predictable. It's amazing. You're so right.
And just imagine, this is with 4G.
Yes.
When 5G comes out, everything is going to be even faster. I mean, now, and they're talking about now, they're looking at 6G. It's not 5G, but they're always looking 3 to 5, 10 years down the line. So everything is moving. I mean, if someone were to give you a flip phone now, you're probably taking a look at them.
I don't
want this phone. This phone is old. But you have to, again, with cybersecurity, with technology, it's ever changing.
Yes.
You have to know everything, but you have to understand that it's constantly changing, constantly. But still, what's the one thing that's going to remain the same is security perspective. Make sure you protect your data. Make sure you have that VPN when you travel on your cell phone. Make sure you have a password, special characters and numbers also.
So how does one get a VPN?
Well, you got different companies that may, for my company, you know, the company that I use is Norton, but there's a lot of companies.
Norton, right, yeah.
Commercial you see with LifeLock and Norton. There's a plethora of VPNs out there, but whichever one you choose, just make sure, and it would tell you when it's turned on. It would say VPN is on. So if you're at any coffee shop or you're doing business, you can do all your transactions via your phone or your desktop, and it's secure. But you have to have that because you don't want someone, even, I'll tell you a prime example, with Zoom here.
Right.
It was Zoom bombing a while back.
Right, the Zoom bombing.
But what happened, they didn't have the proper security on their platform.
I saw that, yes.
Yeah, that's why they got more 256 encryption, more security now. And all these companies, because you don't want to be doing an interview with someone jumping in your conversation that you're not supposed to be in. So everyone's looking at that. But I would tell you, from your perspective, from your wife's perspective, or some of your colleagues, my advice to people, I don't care who you use,
Right.
but a VPN.
VPN.
You travel virtual. It's called virtual private network. So if you're on your phone, it's secure at all times. You know, when you work from your home, and you know how some people want to use your at your house, use your particular Wi-Fi password. Make sure it is a family member, somebody you know, and make sure you change those passwords periodically.
Wow. Okay.
Always, you know, don't have the same password over and over. And you know, I tell people all the time, but you know, make sure your password is secure, and don't use your wife's name and birthday because
oh, yeah, that's easily hacked. Yep.
That can be hacked. Especially that's what I talked to you earlier about a dictionary hack.
Dictionary.
Every word in the dictionary, every combination of those dictionary words can, as big as the dictionary is, every word, if you use that, it could be done in a few seconds.
Well, I know. Wow. Artificial intelligence.
Yep.
The world is changing, and then we have to change really fast. It is said that it took 20 years for us to get to this technology that we have today, but it takes 6 months to change it. It moves that fast.
Yeah, it is. It's always moving. That's why every day on all your computer systems or your phones, once a week or twice a week, there's always an update. Why?
Yes.
Because the bad guy created another virus that your system cannot detect.
Right.
So there's always someone out there, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's other companies that have someone to see if you can break into this. If it is, how can we fix it? And that's what happens. It's always a test. Can I break in here? Or can I protect it? Now, I'll tell you this before I go. A while back, Target was breached, right?
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
But the reason Target was breached because they had great security in the store. We call it the POS, the point of sales, where they do the transaction for the credit card. But what happened, they had a third party who was doing HVAC for the AC. This person logged into their network with their laptop. Right. That wasn't secure.
Oh my goodness.
That's how the bad guy, it only takes one person. Let's just say, for instance, you have a security system at home. Right? And you have all the signs outside, everything's good to go, protected by ADT or Brinks, whomever. But your window's open. Right. Doesn't matter. So you have to make sure that whomever, this is a big thing that's going on now with the government and some of the contractors is, if you're working with the government or logging into your company from home, your particular information could be secure. But if you have someone working for you, that you allow them access, but they're not secure, or their antivirus not updated, once they get into the system, they're into the whole system. So you're not just you, but if you have someone working for you, say you have someone else working for you that have, an extension of your email. Right. Oh, you say, well, my computer is good. Well, Martin, I got mine. This is my email address. They log in, boom, virus. Wow. Because they didn't do their homework to make this stuff secure. But that's cybersecurity is always about checking balances, making sure your information is protected, and you being vigilant from cybersecurity awareness perspective.
Wow. So you teach this stuff, but do you have a business that you work
with? My company is Hollis Group, LLC.com. Hollis Group is a service disabled owned veteran small business with the government. Okay, so I do consulting from that perspective, not only cybersecurity consulting, but a plethora of consulting from my website, drerickhollis.com or
drerickhollis.com. Okay.
Yes, or HollisGroupLLC.com.
HollisGroupLLC.com. Great.
And there's a plethora of services we provide from the cybersecurity perspective, blockchain, IoT. So please go there, look at it. You have any questions, by all means, book me at drerickhollis.com.
Man, let me tell you, it's what you have given so much information, so much good information. I really appreciate you coming on today to be in the think tank. I know that we had a schedule a couple of weeks ago, and we had a storm, and your internet was knocked out because I can hear you, but you couldn't hear me or see me. Yeah. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with me today. We've been friends from Toastmasters 5 years ago. We've both gone in different directions, but again, I always give a plug to Toastmasters.
Me too. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from Toastmasters, especially the archiving.
Yes. I remember when I started how nervous I was, and You
And
know,
look
but
at you now.
I'm telling you, but after 300-400 speeches, you know, I got my DTM and
Now you're worldwide. Now you got me in your think tank. So I
there you go.
appreciate
That's
it.
what I'm talking about. Great. But Dr. Hollis, I really appreciate you. You enjoy what you, I know you enjoy what you do.
Yes.
I enjoyed having you on. It was immense. The value was great. It was immense. And we'll be in touch. But most of all, thank you for being in the think tank, my brother.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and take care of yourself. All right.
Thanks.
All right.